Welcome back to the Marketing Minute, where we take marketing trends, principles, and best practices and turn them into easy to digest segments that you can apply to your center's marketing. I'm Lauren Bell from Extend Web Services, part of Heartbeat International, where we support pregnancy help organizations worldwide. Today, we're focusing on Google Ads, a powerful tool to enhance your reach in digital marketing. Despite challenges in the relationship between pregnancy centers and Google, leveraging Google Ads can effectively connect you with women actively searching for support. Joining me today is Jack Pickering, our digital marketing specialist. With his extensive experience in Google and social media advertising, Jack will guide us through how to effectively navigate Google Ads, whether you're just starting or looking to optimize your strategy. So let's dive in. Jack, let's start off with explaining what a Google Ads campaign is.
Certainly, yeah. Thanks for having me on today, Lauren. It's a pleasure to speak with you about Google Ads. So, yeah, let's jump into things. At its core, a Google Ads campaign is probably one of the best tools to reach, to target the audiences that you want to appeal to with your ads. And Google is such an important tool in order to advertise to the right audiences because of its massive reach. We know and we understand that people use the Google search engine every single day. Daily searches are over 3.5 billion, and Google holds over 92% of the global search engine market share. So when you take that into perspective and you look at just how powerful Google is and how many people are actively using Google every single day, if you're a pregnancy center and you want to advertise your services, it's vitally important that you get on Google, so that when people are searching for pregnancy related services, abortion clinics, material assistance with pregnancy, any pregnancy related services, if they're searching for it, you want to make sure that you are there and you are visible in the search results when they search for those relative terms. And that's where we come in, where we build out your Google search campaign, so that you're able to be a lot more visible to that large audience of women that are searching for your services.
Absolutely. So one of the key things in creating a marketing plan is to be visible where she's searching. First of all, you have to define who she is. Who are you trying to reach? And you touched on that, how Google is just a really powerful tool to be able to refine your target audience. So that's why we have Google campaigns going, is because we're trying to reach a specific demographic, a specific geographical location, and she's searching most likely on Google. And so that's just great insight, Jack. Thanks so much for sharing. And you've kind of answered my next question, which is why should a pregnancy center have Google? There's been a lot of contention between Google and pregnancy centers over the past several years. Google has not necessarily loved the work that we do, but can you speak to just why a pregnancy center would make that investment still today?
Yeah, certainly. I think that, again, it's just given the times that we're in currently, everyone is online. Vast majority of people have a mobile phone, or a computer, so everyone is really online. And although word of mouth marketing is still very important, it's just for the sake of pregnancy centers to be able to amplify their message and to reach more women, it really is important that they are online and they are making their presence known and they are paying for that digital real estate. And it can be intimidating for sure when you're just getting started or thinking about getting started with Google Ads, because of the obviously the financial investment that comes along with it. But I would definitely say, as words of encouragement to any pregnancy centers that are thinking about taking that leap and investing in Google Ads, that you don't need to break the bank with Google Ads. You can really have a positive impact and reach a lot more women online, with relatively modest financial investments. Obviously, the more you spend, the more women you're going to reach, the more women you're going to help that are in need. That's obviously the goal, and that is the optimal strategy is to spend more and invest more in Google Ads. But anything is better than nothing is the key here. So if you're able to, as a pregnancy center, if you're able to amass maybe $200 a month on a Google campaign, that goes a lot farther than you think. You're still able to make a positive impact online. And again, you're able to compete with the likes of abortion clinics or pro-choice clinics. You're able to kind of steal that market share away from them and help let women know that, hey, there's an alternative to that. You don't necessarily have to get an abortion. There's places that are going to help you navigate through that massive life decision.
Now, you mentioned the importance of being online. Of course, that is just the era that we're living in. Everybody's online. Everybody's searching online for answers. A center might say, I have a website. Isn't that good enough? Can you explain how Google Ads would help kind of bolster their website and drive more traffic to the site?
Yeah, so having a website's great. That's an awesome step in the right direction to again having that digital presence online. But it really is only a piece of the puzzle, um, because organic search traffic can only go so far. And what that is when people directly search for your center, or they might have driven by it sometime or seen it in physical reality and then searched it. And that's great, but it only goes so far. And that's where paid advertising comes in. And when you're paying for your search ads to appear, when people search relevant pregnancy service related terms, you're going to drive a lot more paid traffic, which will help supplement your organic traffic, but it's going to drive a lot more traffic to your website as opposed to not running ads where you're just relying on organic touch points of people, yeah, maybe seeing your pregnancy center in real life or maybe seeing a social media post about it. That's going to drive very minimal traffic. Whereas the power of Google search comes in when you're paying for traffic, you're paying to have your ads be delivered and reach women that are in need, women that are looking to get in touch with a pregnancy center in your area. And when you're paying for these ads each and every single day, those results and that traffic starts to compound, and you get more and more traffic into your website, which then ultimately leads to more foot traffic in the doors of your pregnancy center.
So we've laid out a compelling case for why a pregnancy center would invest in Google Ads and the importance of having that visibility in Google searches. And so can you walk us through really what makes a strong Google Ads campaign?
Yeah, certainly. So what makes a strong Google Ads campaign is really knowing your audience and knowing and understanding and being able to adequately express the services that your pregnancy center offers. So the first thing you want to do is look at and say, okay, what is my target demographic? Um, is it women 16 to 30? If so, then you're going to want to make sure that you target that age range. And then you want to look at your ads and say, okay, what do I want to showcase in my ads? Because your ads, it's very important to remember that your ads, that's your main snapshot that you're showing your audience, and that has to entice them to want to take that action and to get in touch with your center. So you really want to tailor your content in your ad to make sure that it's speaking to your target audience and it's speaking to that woman that's on the other side of the screen who's looking for help. So that's where you have to go and look through your website and look at all your service offerings and pinpoint which are the most pertinent, which are the most important that you want highlighted when women are searching for, or men are searching for your centers. So that's really a big part of our strategy is we want to make sure that our ads are highly expressive of what the key service offerings are of your pregnancy center. So obviously, like pregnancy testing, post-abortive support, abortion information, material assistance, um, things of these nature. We want to make sure that all this information is packed into the ads so that the women understand, okay, this is a great option for me. It looks like there's a lot of services, a lot of help and support available for me here at this center. So it's really a huge part of the Google Ads strategy is just making sure that you're targeting the right audience and then you're also telling a really good story through the ads to that audience. And then the other important technical component of what makes a good campaign is ensuring that our campaigns are bidding on the right keywords. So, in essence, we want to make sure that our ads are appearing to women when they are searching for relevant search terms. So, for instance, let's say a woman searches, should I get an abortion or abortion alternatives, something like that. We want to make sure that we're bidding on a relevant keyword so that when she's searching for that, our pregnancy center comes up and she can see, okay, there's alternatives to abortion. I don't have to go out and actually get an abortion. There's help here for me. And then similarly, if women are searching for pregnancy support, support with an unexpected pregnancy, um, material assistance, things like that, we want to tailor our keywords that we're bidding on to align with those search terms that these women in need are likely searching for, so that when they do search for them, we come up for them on the Google search results, and they ultimately click on an ad, and then the goal is for them to then get in touch with the center, whether that be via phone, email, text, live chat, anything in that nature to get them in touch with the center and then ultimately get them in so they can get the help that they need.
And there are different strategies within Google Ads as well as you're creating the ads. You're setting your target demographic, your geographical location, all that information as far as who you want to reach. But you can set different strategies. Talk us through the different strategies that your Google Ads can accomplish as far as clicks or conversions and how that lines up with individual marketing plans.
Yeah, for sure. So it is really important to look at what you ultimately want to achieve for your center. And the majority of our clients, what they want more phone calls. They want more women reaching out and getting in touch with their center. So it's important to look at your Google Ads strategy. And two of the main strategies you can deploy on Google Ads are maximizing clicks and maximizing conversions. And what that will do is Google's system will go out and target users that it thinks are going to take the click action the most, or users that are going to convert. Um, so if you want to set up a campaign to drive a lot of clicks to your website, then you would set up a campaign with the strategy of maximizing clicks. But ultimately, we take the approach with some of our campaigns to maximize conversions, because ultimately that is what matters the most to a lot of our pregnancy centers. They want people getting in touch with them. So how we have our campaigns set up when we maximize conversions is we have it set up so that Google's algorithm is directed to go after women that are going to make a phone call, that are going to text, going to email, request an appointment with a pregnancy center, as opposed to users that are just going to click, view the website, but not take the desired action. Because clicks are great and clicks are vital. We want traffic to the website, that 100%. But if we're driving a lot of clicks, but we're not driving a lot of conversions, i.e., we're not getting a lot of women calling or reaching out to the center, then the strategy becomes a little redundant, because yeah, we're driving a lot of clicks, but it's not materializing into what the goal of the center is, which is to get more women in the door. So we've seen great results, and we've seen numbers for centers that are outreach numbers for centers go up in terms of who have been calling in or getting in touch with them since we've deployed this strategy of maximizing conversions. And it still drives a lot of clicks to the website, no doubt, but it's lesser than what it would be with the maximized click strategies because we're focusing more on quality over quantity, getting that person to call and reach out. And yeah, a campaign in a month might only have 200 or 300 clicks, but it will have 20 conversions. And those 20 conversions are a lot more important than a campaign with 500 clicks, but no conversions.
Absolutely. It's important to have the right strategy behind any of the tools that you have in your marketing and to know what goal you want to accomplish through those marketing tools. So Google Ads is no exception. You can have some flexibility in what you're accomplishing, and that needs to just line up with your marketing goals. Thanks so much, Jack, for explaining the components that go into creating a strong Google Ads campaign. Let's circle back to budget. I know you touched on that a little bit earlier as far as realistic budget expectations and encouraging people not to shy away from running Google Ads, even if they don't have a really large budget to put towards it. But can you explain how a center might go about finding out what a competitive budget might be and helping them to set those realistic expectations for their budget?
So the process that we go through when looking at potential budget thresholds for a pregnancy center is we look at geographically where they're located, and then we utilize Keyword Planner on Google, and then we essentially make a big list of as many relevant keywords as we can. And then from that, we look at the averages of those keywords. From the low end to the high end, top of page bid. And what that does is it helps us kind of gauge the competitiveness of the keywords in the area. And then based on that, we kind of have a rough idea of okay, this is how much it's going to cost per click on these pregnancy and abortion related keywords. We look at that. That's part of our strategy and our process, but we also look at all of our other clients and clients in similar areas, clients that bid on similar keywords. And we look at kind of their average cost per click on a month per month basis. And then based on that, we're able to look at different budget projections and thresholds. So when we're trying to determine, okay, how much should this client spend each month? It really is dependent on the keyword competitiveness as well as basing it on what other clients are paying and the other results that they're seeing as well at similar monthly budget levels. But yeah, and it really is, I would say that it's not a perfect science, and Google Ads is very fluid, and you have to be very flexible just with different trends and fluctuations in the market, and each month can look different. We can only go by estimates and projections and comparisons. But then once we get things going, that's where we can really start seeing and looking at performance month over month. And then we can better gauge, okay, we can increase budgets, or maybe we need to pull budgets back a little bit more. And that's just the nature of Google Ads. You have to be flexible. You have to be willing to change strategy at any given time. And that's why we're always in the account looking at performance and making the necessary optimizations that we need.
That's really helpful for a center who might be intimidated, thinking they can't be competitive in some of the arenas that they're in, where big abortion has, millions of dollars to spend on advertising, maybe more. And so we do need to be present there regardless of our budget constraints. And so thanks for encouraging our centers with that information, Jack. That's helpful. Also understanding that our budget expectations need to be realistic. And so that's very helpful. If you ever have a question about how to set your budget, if you want to dive deeper into what you might accomplish through the budget, whether limited or extensive, that you have, we are happy to chat with you about that further. So we have a solid case for why we should have Google Ads. We have guidance on how to have a realistic budget expectation. And so now, what is the process to get started in Google Ads? What does that look like?
Yeah, so the process is pretty straightforward. You'll want to sign into the Google Ads interface and go ahead and create an account. It's very straightforward. It's very user friendly. I would say the only the only part that you would need some documentation for is the advertiser verification process, and essentially that is just Google's way of proving that okay, this is a legitimate business that's advertising their services, um, and they require some tax documents. It's all confidential. It's all protected in Google's interface. But that's one of the main components before we're actually able to start advertising on the platform is making sure that we get your business verified in order to advertise. And then once all that legal stuff is dealt with, it's a very quick and seamless process. It takes about 2 or 3 days for an account to get fully verified. And then once that's done, we get into the weeds and we start when we create the first campaign. And as I've mentioned previously, we employ all the strategies that are necessary when starting a Google Ads campaign. So we'll look at the website, make sure that the content is very tailored and very aligned in our ads, and we want to make sure that we're really expressive in showcasing what services are provided at the pregnancy centers. Likewise, we'll want to make sure that we tailor our keywords to make sure that they're relevant to the website and relevant to what women in the area are searching for. And then we'll also want to make sure, do we want to bid on maximizing clicks to the website, or do we want to bid on maximizing conversions? And as I mentioned as well, we've seen a lot of great success with bidding on conversions. So that's typically the strategy that we go for. And then once that's all sorted out, we launch the campaign, and it takes about a week or two for Google's algorithm to learn and to understand and to optimize. Okay, this is the audience that I need to go after. This is the audience that we're getting the most engagement from. This is the audience that are the most likely to actually get in touch with the center. And then once Google's algorithm gathers that data and those learnings, it's then able to get better over time and to reach more women in your area that are looking for pregnancy help or abortion alternatives. And yeah, and then from there, we're in the account every day, just looking at performance, looking at key metrics. So looking, is CPC too high, or is it just right? And if cost per click is too high, we'll look and see, okay, are we bidding on keywords and paying too much for certain keywords that are too competitive? And then we'll look at that and we'll either pause them or add in new keywords that will be more efficient for our campaign. And then likewise, we'll make sure that the ads stay fresh and that the content of the ad is refreshed on a semi-regular basis, just so that the ad strength remains strong in Google's ad ranking system, because you want to make sure that the ad rank and the quality is high, because the higher it is, the more Google will favor it when delivering it to different users. And yeah, that's kind of the ongoing process that we go through on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis when managing your Google Ads account. And whenever we see opportunities to improve things or to tweak strategy, we take those. But likewise, if things are working and if we're seeing a lot of conversions come in, if we're seeing cost per click is really low and really efficient, we tend to keep things as is, or we'll add in more relevant keywords that we know are really performing well for us, are really driving a lot of engagement, a lot of conversions. We'll add those into the campaigns as well.
Something that's available to a lot of centers is a Google grant, and that grant can be applied towards ad campaigns. Can you speak to the difference between a Google grant campaign and a Google paid ad campaign?
Yeah, so a Google grant ad campaign is entirely funded by the Google nonprofit um, ad grant. And essentially, you are allotted a $10,000 monthly budget, which is entirely funded by Google. So you actually don't have to pay anything. Whereas a standard ad account, your center is entirely funding that each and every single month. Um, and grant ads are good. It's a good option if you aren't able to put any spend behind a campaign yourself. It's better than nothing, I would say. But I would also caution that grant ads typically do not perform nearly as well as standard ad accounts, um, especially just given the nature of what we're advertising. Google tends to limit spend and limit delivery for these grant ad accounts. And we have found it very hard with clients to actually get to that $10,000 a month spend threshold. I don't think we've ever achieved that yet. Um, so although it sounds good in theory to run grant ad accounts, I would highly recommend running a standard ad account, even if you can only spend $100 or $200 a month. That is going to get you a lot further, get your center a lot more visibility than running a grant ad account and not being able to spend nearly as much as you can with a standard Google Ads account. So again, I'll just reiterate the importance of really considering to funding your own campaign with your own dollars as opposed to relying on the Google grant, just because it'll be a lot more beneficial to you. You'll reach a lot more women, and you won't have the headache of having this grant ad account and really seeing limited ad delivery.
We have really taken a deep dive into Google Ads and learned a lot today. But can you explain some of the results that we could expect to see from a campaign once it gets running and finds success? What are some of the measurables, some of the return on our investment that we can expect?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say first and foremost, you can look at the amount of clicks and the amount of impressions that your campaign is driving, and ultimately that equals engagement and that equals awareness. Because we know when someone clicks on an ad, they're engaging with it, and we know that when there's an ad impression, we know that someone has seen the ad. So right there, when you're looking at clicks and impressions, you can see, okay, I have reached this amount of people, and this amount of people have also engaged with my ads. So that right there is a great performance marker to look at. But then also with that, we heavily look at how many conversions are we driving each month. And how we have it set up for most of our clients is that we're tracking conversions anytime a user clicks on an ad and then calls the center or clicks on the phone number on the website or the SMS number on the website, email, or requests an appointment. Any of these actions, any of these touch points that a user takes on the website after clicking on one of our Google ads, that is counted as a conversion. And that is the key performance indicator that we look at when we're looking at how our campaigns are performing overall. How many conversions are they driving month over month? So it's a very layered process when you're looking at it. Like you're looking at clicks, you're looking at impressions, but then you're also looking at, okay, from those clicks and those impressions, from the people that have engaged and the people that have seen the ads, how many of those are converting? How many of those are actually reaching out to our center? So we're looking at all of those things. And then lastly, we're also looking at cost per click. So that's an important metric to look at as well. And it is important to remember that when we are bidding on conversions and we're looking to maximize conversions with our campaigns, cost per click does tend to go up just because Google is looking for those people to take those conversion actions, not just click on the ad and look at the website and then leave. Google's looking for those high intent audiences, which it's going to cost more to find those people to drive those conversions. So yes, we want cost per click to be efficient. Ideally, we want cost per click to be anywhere from 75 cents to $3. But we also know it's really important that the most important metric that we're looking at is conversions. How many conversions are we driving? How many women are we reaching that are then reaching out to the center? And then also it's important to note as well, when you are bidding on those abortion related keywords and you, let's say you're a client and you have a bigger budget and you're able to even compete with the Planned Parenthood keywords, that's when you're going to start seeing cost per click go up, but you're also going to see more conversions and more quality of conversions come in because you're reaching those women who are really in need and are really looking for an abortion. And those are the high quality conversions that we're trying to ultimately steal away from big abortion. And that will result in a higher cost per click, but ultimately it's worth it at the end of the day if you're able to reach out to that woman and take her business away from a Planned Parenthood.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jack. This has been a super enlightening conversation about Google Ads and the importance of having Google Ads in place. Having a website, like you said, is a great tool, but what kind of tools we can build around that website to support that website and help that website to perform at its optimal level. Google Ads is certainly one of the most powerful tools we can utilize. And so thanks so much for your expertise in walking us through just the ins and outs of strategy and getting set up and setting a budget. This has been an incredibly helpful conversation today. So I appreciate your time and just your expertise on this subject. And thank you for listening. You all are incredible. I say this every time, but we appreciate just the opportunity to speak to the pregnancy help movement. You are on the front lines reaching women every single day, and we are here to help you any way that we can to be successful at connecting with women and reaching them online. If you have any questions ever, we are here for you. And we are happy to discuss your marketing plan with you, whether you're an Extend customer or not. We just want to help you find success in reaching women and rescuing lives. So thanks so much, and we'll talk to you all soon.